Hey everyone, it's May the 4th be with you, and so I thought I'd make a lightsaber video. Hey, sorry, real quick, if you're one of those sort of get to the point people, I'm going to have another of this sort of video at the end. That's just going to be a quick summary of everything, so you can skip all of the boring stuff and just go right to this time, right here, and yeah, or stay and enjoy the whole video, and that would be awesome. I hope you like it. Okay, see you at the end. So for a few years now, I've been going to the Hawaii Saber Academy, which is a group of people that do lightsaber stuff. And who knew lightsabers are fun? Everyone knows that, I think. We swing around lightsabers and we hit each other, and then we learn certain techniques and stuff, and we meet and spar. And that's fun. But for me, I like to learn stuff. I like combat. I like learning new things, and I like learning wide varieties of things. So I'm a part of multiple, if you don't know yet, I'm a part of multiple different fighting groups here on island. So if you want to know more about other groups I'm a part of, let me know and I will try to hook you up. Anyway, so we meet in class, and sometimes we do techniques, and sometimes we do spinning, and it varies, right? However the class turns out, and then we'll spar. We just did a Wookiee fights, sort of, which was very fun. Okay, sorry, to get to the point of the video. For me, wanted to try to have figure out a mantra, I guess, or a simplified, core philosophy for each of the 7 styles. So to finally get to the point of the video, first, I wanted to say that I am not a Star Wars lore master, or combat master, or master of any of these styles. This is just sort of an idea I had that I thought you guys might enjoy. I don't want you to think that I think that what I'm saying is right and anybody else is wrong. This is just my interpretation of the philosophies of each form, and that's it. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it or disagree with me, let me know that too, because I like learning things, and talking to people is a good way to learn things. So before I continue, I'm going to put my long saber away, because I am in my apartment and it's very small, and I have my short saber that I can move around when I need to. Let's get started. Okay, so best to start at the beginning. One more thing I forgot to say is that I said I'm not a lore master or anything. I've done a bit of research from the Jedi Path here, and also a couple videos on YouTube that I will link in the description that you can watch if you want to figure out where I got my ideas, and then you can be like, no, that's not what they say at all, and you're wrong about this thing, and we'll talk. Okay, back to the video. Shicho, as far as my philosophy core thing goes, is basic swordsmanship, really. It's, it's 2 hands on your lightsaber and big sweeping motions. It's meant for group combat, big open battlefield, think Lord of the Rings or something like that, where if there's an enemy over here and I strike him down, and then there's an enemy behind me, and I want to kind of swing like that, to either kill him or get him away from me so that he backs off. So big swinging motions, 2 hands. You've got the motion, but not, I think, the power of, say, Gemso. So to sort of touch on another point of why I wanted to make this video at all, is if I start here and I do a big swing, what style is that? Is that Shicho? Is it Gemso? Is it Vapat? It could be any of them, kind of, right? I think it depends on the philosophy behind the attack or the strike. Because if I'm here and my intention is to push you away, I'll probably take a big swing and push you back, or to cut you down, okay? But if my intention is to, say, knock the bejesus out of your lightsaber and knock it out of your hands, maybe, then I might do the same thing. So if I come back and hit the crap out of your lightsaber, hit it out of your hands. Because Gemso is more, it's sort of an offense is the best defense sort of style. Or is it Vaapad? If Shicho is basic combat, it's not connected emotionally, I think. So if I'm angry or passionate, that dwells more into Vaapad, right? So if I strike with angry intention or passionate intention or whatever, or Juyo, I guess, versus Vaapad, the same strike can be carried over to different styles, and it's just what the purpose of the strike is, or what the philosophy behind the strike is. And that's why Shicho is basic, and the other styles are more advanced, I guess. Shicho is your foundation. You know, it's good for anybody. It's very sort of kendo, where your strikes are, you know, directed and pointed or attacked, or, you know, Hema, where your strikes are. Do you know what I mean? Am I making any sense? I hope I'm making sense. But that's Shicho. Shicho, basic swordsmanship, good foundation. Let's move on. So where Shicho is basic combat with two hands on your sword and big sort of sweeping strikes, Makashi is just about the opposite, I think. Because it's, first of all, it's one-handed, typically. And you're not as centered, you're more twisted to the side. More like fencing, as you know. And instead of big sweeping strikes, if we're across swords here, I want to just get on line and then go in for the stab or the strike or leg, right? So the philosophy I sort of came up with is strike first, strike true. And that idea is fairly simple and straightforward. You want to be the first to hit, and you want your hit to be a good hit. But I think Makashi also allows for feints, right? So if I want to go for your hip, I want to draw your blade's attention if we're crossed. Yeah, I imagine you have a lightsaber and we're crossed. I want to draw your saber away from wherever I actually want to hit you. And so if I say wanted to bring your blade up so you block high, I would feint to your head and then twist down to your hip, let's say. And then that's my strike. You know, that's my first strike. So first strike, strike true. Let's move on. So Soresu is a primarily defensive style. The goal, as I understand it, is to use as little effort as possible while forcing, essentially, your opponent to use as much energy as possible to get to you. If I want to block an attack from your left, all I have to do is, or from the right, or down leg left, or leg right, bam, or head, boom, or head, boom. So Soresu, essentially, philosophy-wise, is rope-a-dope. Because, you know, and you get that from boxers where they sort of clinch up, and you get, you know, bam, 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 and you get hit, and hit, and hit, and hit, and hit, and your opponent gets tired because they're taking a lot of energy out trying to hit you, hitting you, and then, you know, when they have an opening, or if they get too tired, then you can make your attack. It's a mostly defensive style. It's not, and I wouldn't say it's entirely defensive, because obviously you have to attack sort of to win. So yeah, rope-a-dope is the idea. Okay, next style. So Form 4 is the Hawkbat one, right? It's the one Yoda uses, and you jump around and flip around and stuff like that. And that's because they can use the Force to augment their abilities and jump high and all of that stuff. First of all, it's more attack-driven, where Soresu is almost entirely defense, Ataru is almost attack. So unlike the movies and in the Star Wars universe, where they can use the Force to augment their abilities, it's difficult, as far as I've seen, to practically do flips and jumping and stuff like that in combat. So what can we do instead? Well, if I'm using Makashi, say, I want to stay just online, or say just offline. Okay? And that's, you know, the line between you and your opponent. And the straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Right? So that's the goal sort of for Makashi. Now Ataru, on the other hand, if I'm, say, an Ataru user and I want to be over here, then I want to very quickly move here and sort of strike you there. So the philosophy I came up with is surround and confound, right? So you want to move fast and jump and all that stuff like that. Ataru wants to go everywhere, all over, and not just, here, 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 like that. Also from above. So I would jump. Say my target is over there. One. Jump like that. Surround and confound come from, sort of run around. It requires a lot of energy, clearly. I feel like it's got a capoeira element to it, and then just acrobatics beyond that. So yeah, surround and confound. Next one. So, form 5. Well, there are 2 form 5s. I'm going to get into Gemso first. So Gemso, form 5, or the first one I'm going to go into about form 5, is based in Soresu. It's an evolution. It's Soresu's older brother, younger but meaner brother, some brother. Anyway, so where Soresu is, again, almost old attack, Gemso is, I'd say 40-60 attack defense, because, wait, strike that, reverse it. So say 60% attack and 40% defense, with like most of the attack being from a defensive place, I guess. So like I said earlier, if I'm here and we're crossing sabers, a Gemso practitioner, based on what I know, would take a big swing and smash their opponent's lightsaber out of the way, maybe disarm them, and then come in for a counterattack to their opponent. Or if we're both swinging from the same way, my goal will be to hit it harder than you and get in. Something like that. So the Gemso philosophy is strike back, strike hard, right? So if either they come in with a strike and you parry it and then counterattack, or you preemptively counterattack their lightsaber out of the way, and then you strike. So strike back, strike hard, and I guess it's an active defensive style, I guess, if that makes sense. So initially, when I was thinking about Shien, I had a hard time, because Shien is less of a saber-to-saber style, from what I've read and from what I've researched, and more of a reflecting lightsaber bolts style. So you create sort of this sort of bubble around you where you defend, and not only deflect, but also reflect strikes back at them. And I was struggling, right? I was struggling with this. If Soresu is a mirror, is Shien a tennis racket? Or is Soresu the tennis racket and is Shien the mirror? Because, the idea is, if I've got a tennis racket, if a ball flies at my face, the intention is to hit it back to your opponent. But a mirror would be more effective at reflecting light back at its source. So the comparison that I kind of came up with now that I've thought about it more is, if Soresu is a mirror, nope, the opposite. Shien is a mirror, Soresu is a disco ball, right? Because Soresu's ideal is against blaster fire, is block, 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 block. Where Shien's is lightsaber bolt, bam, lightsaber bolt, bam, lightsaber bolt, bam. You're trying to return on the same line. So the sort of philosophy of Shien, in my opinion, is reflect and deflect. So you're not going to be able to get all of the blaster fire back on the way it came, but to reflect it and deflect it. Now, bringing this into lightsaber combat, where you're fighting somebody, it follows the same line as Soresu, I think, but I think you can call it in with some Gemso, or mix it in with some Gemso. So I guess if I were to compare them, say, Gemso, your idea is to disarm. Shien might be to parry, but just so that if I If I swing in this way, so it goes back along the same line and either hits me or just goes along the same line, and then now I'm vulnerable. Maybe? Alright, Shin. Reflect, deflect. I guess. Moving on. I hope you're still enjoying the video. So, Form 6, Neiman, the improv style. This one is harder to do, I feel like, as a style, because when you fight different people, you fight differently. You can have a foundation that you go to, but I think naturally you adjust your style. And maybe you don't. Maybe you fight the same person, like different people all the time the same way. But I don't fight like that. So for example, my main style I would call Makashi base, but for example, the guy who runs the academy, Keith, he is primarily Ataru, I would say, because he's quick, moving around, likes the jumps, likes the big flashy movements, and it's fun, and he's good at them. But when I fight him, rather than this, this sort of reserved or sort of conservative, let's say, style, I don't do that because he moves a lot, and it's more fun to fight somebody who fights like that on their level. So I'll move a lot too, and we'll just be leaping around, jumping over each other and all this. We also have people who use gemso, so they take sort of big, heavy swings, and in that situation, I will go for the block or parry and go in for that strike, or let them completely strike, like let them follow through and then come around like that, which I feel is also sort of Makashi. All that to say that my philosophy for Neiman, this is not mine, by the way, but it's improvise, adapt, overcome. Moving on. So, here we are. Form 7. Now, I know there are technically two forms of Form 7, but from what I can tell, they're essentially two sides of the same coin. Both are powered by emotions, and both are essentially mixtures of 4 and 5. So where Juyo is powered by raw emotion, Vaipad is powered by controlled emotion. So it's like contacting the emotions, but you're not letting them overwhelm you to the point where you're not really thinking, you're just attacking. So given that, it's difficult to say that there's very much technically different between them. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're extremely different and I need to do more research. But that's from what I can tell. Beyond that, I don't know the difference. I don't know enough of the differences to make up two, or to bring out two different Seder philosophies. And according to the lore, which I do know a little bit of, Juyo, the first version of Form 7, was banned from the Jedi Temple because you tapped into that raw emotion, and it generally led people to the dark side. And then they created Vaipad, which they did later allow, I guess. Given that, the only difference really is control. The techniques, the styles, and essentially the philosophies are, I feel like, should be about the same. So the philosophy I came up with is overwhelm or be overwhelmed. So if I was going to compare this philosophy to the real world outside of lightsaber combat, it would be sort of general. If you are doing something and so you're playing a video game and it's really hard and you lose, you fail, something happens, and you just take your controller and you chuck it against the wall. That's letting your emotions overwhelm you, and now you have probably a broken controller. Now you either can't play your game, you have to get a new controller, or maybe you have an additional controller, but now you're one short. So the Vaipad side of that would be to maybe put down the controller, take a deep breath, pick the controller back up, and now channel your emotions into doing better next time. Right? Does that make sense? So that's the difference between the two styles, I imagine. That's it. We did it. All right. Thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you didn't, please let me know in the comments and we will have discussions. Hey, so if you just finished watching the rest of the video, thank you, I super appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. If you're one of those people I mentioned at the very beginning, thank you for coming down here to see what I got, and I hope you like this part. So, to review, the idea is that I'm summarizing the core of each style, or the sort of philosophies of each style. And here we go. Form 1, Shicho, is just basic swordsmanship, two-handed, usually emphasizing form and repetition to instill good habits. Form 2, Makashi, is one-handed, essentially fencing, And the goal there is strike first, strike true, emphasizing precision and speed. So form 3, Sarasu, is rope-a-dope. It's a boxing term, stressing defense, letting your opponent tire from their effort to hit you, and then striking when they leave themselves open. Form 4, Ataru, is surround and confound. Surrounding not just from, all around this way, but also from above, if you're able to manage that. Striking fast and moving faster. So form 5, Shien, deflect and reflect, returning your opponent's strikes or blaster fire right back at them. To compare Sarasu is if Shien is a mirror in which you're deflecting the light, the strike back at them. Sarasu would be like a disco ball, so it's just letting things go wherever. So the second version of Form 5 is Gemso. Strike back, strike hard. Similar to Sarasu, but emphasizing powerful counterattacks or disarms. So your opponent swings in, you hit harder, maybe knock it out of the way, and then you go for the attack. Form 6, Nimon. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Using combinations of previous forms or techniques and allowing for adjustment based on your opponent's style. So adjusting to your opponent as they fight you, or, adapting and overcoming. Form 7, Juyo and Vapad. I'm combining them here because I feel like they're two sides of the same coin, and the philosophy, I guess, is overwhelm or be overwhelmed. And it's a combination of forms 4 and 5 with the addition of fueling your attacks and actions with your emotions. Requires concentration so that you don't become a victim of your own emotions. So again, this is not meant as a definition. I'm not trying to define anything. I'm just trying to figure out for myself a sort of the center, the core, the philosophy of each individual style, because I feel like it's more philosophy or core based than it is technical style based. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll let you back to the video. So thanks for watching. I liked sort of figuring this out for myself, and I wanted to share it with other people who might find it interesting and want to consider such things on their own, or maybe you haven't thought about it and maybe I've given you something to think about, and I'd like to hear your thoughts that you're thinking. All right, thanks. Like, subscribe, all of that nonsense. May the Force be with you.